Hi, I'm Avon from Relivate, your global Zoho Enterprise partner. And in this video, we're going to go through Zoho Billing Enterprise version. Now, this is a newly released product. It's only just been put on the market. There is also a new product called Zoho ERP, but we're just reviewing the Zoho Enterprise subscriptions today. It's an extra tier or an extra layer on top of your normal subscriptions platform, and it gives you a couple of extra features. Now, like with anything Zoho, the first release is very new and very fresh, and there's still a little bit to grow, but we can always see that there's lots of things being developed within Zoho, and it just keeps growing and growing all the time. Every time I log in, there's something new. So let's dive in and let's take a look. Okay, so here we are. We are in the desktop or the home screen of Zoho Billing Enterprise. Now, one thing you will notice is that it looks a little bit different. If you're used to using Zoho Billing, it's on the left-hand side. And if you're using the new One UI, it is a little bit different yet again with a different frame around the outside. So here we're on just the home page. Now, this is a demo account and I've just got it freshly turned on with no real data in it at all. So if we scroll around, we can see there's a bit of a home page with some reports. The menu, like I said, is across the top instead of down the side. But most of the things are somewhat similar. You've got items and you can create a new item. So we'll just give this one a test. And the unit is box and the selling price is $1 and the account is sales. Now we can upload an image, same as the other one. And item test already exists. So let's just go test one. Okay, so here we go. We've got item test. Now on this item test page, we do have the ability to see the activity log. So it gives you the history of what the price changes were, any edits to the name and things like that. We can also clone it, mark it as inactive, get rid of it. And if we want to import bulk items, then we can do that here. If I select preferences, that's going to take me to the settings menu, which I can also get to from the settings gear up in the top right. Now, creating items is one thing. That's like your fixed product. Then we go to plans, and we can see here I've got a plan already that I created. And this one, an item is like your one-time purchase item. You're buying a widget, a cup, a cable, something like that. And your plans is like your subscription. So if you had a subscription box, if you had some software product or something like that, you can do that here. Now, obviously I've got the plans, and then if I click plus, it wants to create a new plan. So just having a look, we'll select the products, and we've got test as the product. Now I can put in the name, the code, the billing frequency, whether that's day, week, month, year, and we can, 2 months, every 3 months, every 5 weeks, every 6 days, whatever, you can create that flexible version. And then across here on the bottom, obviously we add pricing per unit, per volume, per tier, per package, or a flat rate. You can give that unit a name, and generally I like to keep that not used. And then we've got price per unit per month, whether or not there's a free trial, how many days are in that free trial, and if there's a setup fee. So if you had a one-time $10 setup fee, you can put that in there. And then on these other tabs, you've got these items like add-ons, and we've not added any items here, and so we can't really add the add-ons. But say for example, if I had a software product and I wanted to add some additional credits for emailing or something like that, then I could have an email pack. Then your hosted payments page. Now, this is where someone goes to put their credit card in. And so it's a PCI compliant credit card page that's hosted by Zoho that then just charges your credit card payment provider if you've plugged Stripe in, for example, and then it'll take the payment from there. So widgets, these are like your pricing, your good, better, best plans, and then your plan change, allow customers to switch so they can upgrade, downgrade, etc. And then quantity. So is it a fixed or a range, or there's no restriction? So you might do that quantity restriction if you're selling physical products and you don't want someone to buy 10,000 a month because you can only supply 100 a month. So you might limit 2 per customer or something like that. and then any other details, which is mostly where are the accounting lines being put. Now, this is mostly done in one page in Zoho Billing, but Zoho Billing Enterprise has broken this into tabs. And as you can see, we've got coupons and pricing widgets. So let's just have a look at pricing widgets quickly here. So if we go new, go test, and the product is test. Let's go proceed. Okay, so we don't have plans yet. So let's just go over here. So that's the plan, and we're going to add a plan. And then let's go plan code, plan name, and billing frequency, yes. Pricing model is 1, and type is good. Okay, we just need the minimum criteria to move forward. Okay, so we've got 2 things here. So let's go back to pricing widgets, go new, go to test. All right, so what we did wrong here is we didn't enable it. So we go to the product edit page. So we go back to the product, and I'm going to select plans down here. And then on this one, it's active. But now I need to select, well, now I need to edit it. And then I come over to this section, hosted payment pages and portal, and then widgets, display this plan in the pricing and checkout widgets. Okay. And then we can give it a name. So let's do that one, add new tag. All right, so that's going to give us a feature tag, just so you can see how that is put together. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's go back to pricing widgets. New, test, test, proceed. Okay, here is our pricing widget. Now, if I had 3 plans, you'd see good, better, best here. We can add a custom plan. Let's do all of this. Custom link. All right, so maybe this one might be, here's the price, and instead of giving you a price, this one would be something like request further information or price on application. So we had that option where we could add something under the button, and that thing that we added under the button, so if we go back here, custom link, that could be an online form. You could have a call button or an email, but basically you'd say, you know, the small plan is $1, the medium plan is $2, and the large plan is call for a quote, and then have that phone number underneath there. So let's just hit save on that one. And of course in this, we can configure the plans themselves and see, you know, strike amount. So that's $1. So maybe this is no longer $1, it's now 50 cents. All right, so sorry, it was $2. It's now $1. There we go. Okay, so that's how that works. Now let's go to customize widget. So we've got the ability to add most popular in the captions, subscribe button, change the button color. I'm going to put Relivate green, 99cc00. And then from that, I'm going to go down and change the background color to black or very, very, very dark gray. So let's go here, like a purpley gray. Oh, that's actually looking pretty good. And if I want to add decimal places, let's go to 3 decimal places, just because we can. And then we've got show billing frequency, include features from previous plan. So everything in plan 1 and then, but because we've done this as a custom plan, it's probably not going to come through, but that's fine. Show month-wise split for yearly plan. So that's $1 billed monthly. Now, if you had a yearly plan, that would be $25 a month billed annually. For example, that's not the amount that we've put here, but you get the idea. And then you can see what it looks like in mobile versus web, and then you can full screen, and then we can just hit save. Okay, and then that's the code that you would then paste into your website so that you could have that pricing widget already built for you. Now, personally, I prefer to use the pricing widgets built into the website platform that I use, which for me is WordPress using Elementor. And so I use the Elementor design elements, and then I just copy the hosted payment page. Click on product catalog, go to plans, go to one of the plans here, and you see this share hosted payment page. So I'm just going to click on this hosted payment page, and up comes this little extra code. Now, if I had an add-on, I would actually have to put the add-on in here as well. So if I had the link to the product plus the add-on, then I would put that under a button. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that, and I'm just going to go to an incognito window so that it doesn't try to log me in to the command side. And here we go, we've got the hosted payment page. Now it says $1, and here's the total. If I hit proceed, it's going to ask me for the credit card information. First it's account info. All right, let's just put in the dummy address, a@a.com, just so it will pass, and first name is A, company name A, proceed. And now it wants my billing address, and then on the next screen it'll ask for my credit card information. Now this is only a test, and it is only a demo environment. I have not connected my Stripe account, so it is not going to connect to the correct payment, if that makes sense. Okay, next we're going to go to customers, and we can see here's my first customer, test at a@a.com, and there's some configure essential information. So enable credit limit, that's one option. Configure a customer portal, that's another option. Customer hierarchy, so this could be useful if you've got a group customer. So for example, major company, Google for example, and then you might have sub customers underneath that. So you might have Google Australia, Google US, Google India for example, and then they can look up their own payment hierarchy, and then it allows you to group them by the overarching account. And then you can create custom fields. Custom fields are super useful for grabbing additional information that you need to process the order or something like that. So if I hit new, and then I've got the ability to put in name or individual. Again, it's mostly the same things as in the standard Zoho billing. It's just in a slightly different layout. So you've got address, contact persons, any attachments, remarks, etc. That's like your account notes, etc. And let's go over to sales. I'm going to click on invoice, and this is just a normal run-of-the-mill invoice. You can put your item in, you can select your account, your description, quantity, rate, etc. Taxes, terms and conditions will be in there, payment details, attachments, and again, this is all the exact same things that you get with the standard version, except you get this little subject line, which I think you can also have in the standard billing. And then you've got save, serve and send, or schedule for later, and save and print. So there's some of the options, and again, this would just look up your customer name, which is already in the system, and then bring information in, and you can set, who's the salesperson, or what's the invoice terms, and you can set custom terms. Let's come over to subscriptions now. In the subscription space, so we can see we've looked at the billing preference. I have not configured the billing methods. Would be connecting Stripe, for example. Set up dunning, which is like your debt recovery. So if it's not paid, send an automatic email, or after 1 day, another one after 3 days, another after 5 days. Automate refunds, which is gives them a portal, and you can set some rules to that, or allow them to upgrade and downgrade their subscription. If you have a software, it's probably not worth, if you're charging $20 a month, it's not worth you jumping on the phone for an hour to organize a refund or to upgrade or downgrade them, so you just let them help themselves. And then if we go into new subscription, now if we grab our customer and we look for our product, and then we look for our plan underneath our product, then we can add the quantity. Now I have defaulted a price, and I might go, I'm going to charge this client $3 per month. Well, you can adjust it here. So that makes it quite useful if, over the phone you've had a different conversation, or maybe it's the other way around. It's $3 and you've decided to give them a discount. You can do that here. You also have the ability to put in coupons. I do find it useful to have the start date. Sometimes people want to start it as of the 1st of the month or 15th or something like that. And then you can say, maybe they're on a 3-month subscription or a 12-month, and you can update the cycles here. So where the other section was, when you had this product catalog and you have plans, this is kind of like, well, you get to set those terms, those settings, right from here, because you had the conversation, you've been on the phone, you know what the client wants, and then you can send them the invoice. Now, this can generate invoices automatically. It can generate paper-based invoices and digital paper-based. And what I mean is not a subscription where the credit card is saved. So if you want, this is good for high value, some kind of rent or some kind of, consulting retainer or something like that. But if you're selling a subscription, which is kind of like an e-commerce checkout kind of product, then you've also got that in these plans, and you can send the hosted payment page, they can put their credit card in, and away they go. Now, if they do get the paper invoice, you do have the ability to put a pay with credit card link, so they can opt in to do the credit card as well. Now, go to preferences. There's no rounding. There's a standard template, and you can change your email communication preferences or add new contacts, etc. Now, there is one thing that is new in this that is not necessarily in Zoho Billing, and that is this renewal pricing. So renewal pricing is kind of like, what do you do when the price goes up? At the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, whatever the cycle is, you can set that this has the same prices. You can set that it uses the latest prices, which you use in your product pricing catalog. Or you can set that it uses markup based on a percentage, and of course a markdown. Now, I'm not sure where you would be marking these things down unless you had some diminishing product payment term, like, say, for example, 100% per annum in the first year, 50% in the second year, 25% after that, whatever it is. That's the only time I could imagine, if you had some special contract term, that you would do that. And I don't think you could do that complex stepping. It would just be a more simplified one-time percentage. But let's maybe have a look at that. All right, so good to be able to track which salespeople are performing and who's giving you the details. Now, one thing in here you'll notice is if I have CRM connected, this is going to link me to the CRM record, and it's going to show the contact people, the address, the details in relation to that. So that you get that little link diagram, which is the Zoho CRM logo, which you can kind of see in this favicon up here. And you would just put it, click onto that, and then you'd see what's in the CRM record. Okay, so from here, we'd also note that I've got AUD, that's by default for that account. You can select the currency, but you have to select it for the account, and then you generally can't change it after that. Okay, so if I go to credit notes, let's leave and discard. Yep, we can create a credit note, which is good. You just put what it is that's on there, and then you can pick it up in the next transaction run, and that is easy enough. So test, let's select an item, that's ASDF, okay, sales, description 1, start a project, so that's at $1. Project, that kind of is looking at like your project billing in Zoho Books. It's a little bit different. But anyway, that is a credit note. Let's go to payments. We've got payments received. So when someone pays you, and maybe you haven't allocated it yet. So let's just select our customer, test, and amount received is $500. And then we can put in unpaid invoices. So if someone is paying a number of invoices, you can select all of them and then apply the credit to all of them. And then any other internal notes, which you don't have this feature so much in Zoho Billing. So let's just continue and save that one. And then, yes, so you can process a refund. So that's any of the payments. So if you are overpaid, so if we just go back to payments here, refunds. Now it's not showing any refunds there, so you need to go to the payments received. You're matching the payments to the invoice, so you do need to go to the payments to then go and look at, all right, well, let's refund that amount. Okay, so let's have a look at now. Let's go to expenses, and okay, so for record expense, and then you can itemize. Okay, cool. So record expense, item table, back to single expense view. So you might have, you used 5 things for a client job, or you can upload your receipts and files. Okay, so let's go back here. So record an expense, set mileage rates, upload receipts, and invoice an expense to the customer. So if you had to take a flight, stay in a hotel, and take a few taxis, then you could expense that to your client. Let's go over to recurring expenses. And again, you should be able to expense to your client, create individual expenses with a recurring profile. So again, you put in what it is, so maybe a software subscription, and then what's the customer relating to. So say for example, you incurred an expense on behalf of dealing with your customer, you can map that one in here. Okay, time tracking. Let's go to projects. Now, I did kind of mention before that this was only in books, but this is the advanced version of Zoho Billing, so it is obviously in here as well. If I go to create your first project, we'll go new. Okay, we're going to do ASDF. Billing method is fixed cost based on project hours. Let's do that one. Rate per hour wants me to add a description. Rate per hour is $1. Cost budget, revenue budget. And again, those are just kind of like benchmarks to give you a high level, who the users are on the project and what the tasks are to be completed. So if you are completing tasks, then you can look up that task. So we'll just go ASDF, okay, add that project, save, select the customer. Okay, so the customer is test, and save. So now we've got the details, the project tasks, timesheets, and invoices, and then any credit notes and refunds, and then we've got expenses and activity logs. So you've got the project has not started yet. Let's log some time. Okay, so today's date, task, project name, task name, hours spent, we'll spend 1 hour, and or we can set the start and end time. So if we want to say we started at 11 and then we finished at 12, let's do that. At 11, finished at 12, it's still 1 hour. Billable, user, notes, save. Okay, the other option we had there was save a start timer. So you could start the timer in the background without having to do anything else. All right, so there is our time entry, and we said we are $1 per hour, unbilled hours. All right, let's go to timesheet. So we can see here there is a timesheet, and we've got start as well. So we can actually start, and it's now created a new time log, and we can see it's ticking over, and it is accounting for some hours. We can see up here there's the time, we've got pause, we've got stop, and we can view it in a calendar view or get a summary. Also, we could just add a new log entry or do a weekly time log. So this one, let's just hit stop. Okay, so we did probably about 30 seconds for that one. And let's go to new weekly time log. So this, obviously, we get to say, all right, well, that's what we've done here. Let's add a new row, and let's say we also worked on ASDF, and we did 1 hour here, and then add a new row. We worked 1 hour here. Right? Still got to do the project and task. There we go, and they're all billable. Okay, so we've done 3 hours. Okay, let's save that one. So from here we can see 1, 2, 3. Right, so it's just taken those additional line items. Now if I had multiple tasks, because it's recognized that all of them are for the same project and the same task, so it has grouped all of those together on the one line. But if I had separate line items, it would have those broken down. Okay, so let's go back over here. These are the reports. So in the reports, we've got quite a few standard. So profit and loss, this is a very accounting heavy, whilst a lot of this would typically happen in books. The finance products are tightly linked on the back end, and I think what they're trying to do is make it easy for this to be sold independently, which is very much a Zoho thing to do. You can also see you can link it up to Zoho Analytics to get some more advanced reports and dashboards, etc. So if we went into timesheet details, we can see this report here, which gives the detail. This one obviously being a few seconds, hasn't really registered in the logged hours because there'll be some minimums in the setting behind the scene. And we go back to customize detail, customize the report. We can schedule timesheet details report. So if we want to get this report every week at such and such a time at 1:30 p.m. and the email recipient is me, it's in a PDF, any additional recipients, and then hit send. So that would schedule the report, or you can just share it or export it. Okay, let's now have a look in documents. Now, this should be relatively basic, but if you had a contract or a NDA or something like that, you could put that in here and then link it to a particular contact. And then events, which is like your user log or your record of things that are happening in the system. You will notice here we've got this quick create button up here where we can create all of those things that are in these menus just here. You know, add a user, time log, weekly log, expenses, etc. So that's the front end of this. Let's now have a look into the back end. I usually like to go into the settings first, but today we've just taken a little bit of a different path. And if you know anything about Zoho Books, Zoho Billing, or even Zoho Enterprise, or ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. So you can see that the settings menu is almost identical for all of them. What are your, what's your address? What's your time zone? Then you go to, your branding. You can upload your logo, colors, etc. Domains. So when you have like your company or billing.yourcompany.com. Locations. Now this one is kind of new, but it's also not. So it's already in Zoho Books. It's already in Zoho Billing, the standard version. And you can see that the location just creates like it's still the one set of books, and each location you create like a department budget. And once you create these, you can't turn them off. So you can manage multiple warehouses under a single location, but you've just grouped them. Once you enable locations, you won't be able to disable it. So make sure that you are comfortable with doing this, and there's nothing wrong with starting another developer instance just to have a try. You've got users, roles, user preferences. You can create new custom fields, select your data type. You've got quite a few options there, and you can require it and decide where that sits. In your taxes setting, I'm in Australia, so it wants to put in my GST. Setting up configurations. So you've got the ability to turn on things like quotes. Now, quotes can be good because if you're quoting subscription services, rather than sending that subscription invoice with the start date being rather definite, if you have a more of a bespoke service, you can send a quote, but then it doesn't start until they click the button and put the credit card in. So that sometimes can be useful for how you're working with your clients. So we turn that one on, we'll have a look at it. Retainer invoices, payment links, and then tasks. Tasks are pretty inert, they don't really do that much, but if you like to write down a couple things, you can do that. Alright, so then you select any of these discounts, all very much similar to normal Zoho billing. Actually, we made the change here, so let's stay here. Hit save. Alright, currencies, no difference. Reminders, again, this is Dunnings, right? So this is send a reminder 0 days after the due date. So you can change that. You can go to the settings, edit. Let's say here is the reminder text in the email, and you might want to customize that a little bit. But I like to keep it fairly standard for emails like this because, well, you might change a detail like a phone number or something, and then it creates a huge problem because now you've got to update 1,000 templates. So where you can, use these merge tags and try not to create too many things for you to edit later. Just keep it basic. And then a reminder. So you might do this, 39 days after the due date. Okay. So I didn't save one, that's fine. Let's go customization. Hosted payment pages, you saw that before. We can also customize them. Transaction number series, and you can put you can customize these. PDF templates, you can customize all of those. Email notifications, same again. Reporting tags. Now these are kind of like a, let's say, region. You might have some form of region pricing, and we'll say A, B, C. And then in those regions, those reporting tags, you might say, depending on what the product is, you could put that on that particular product and hide the field so that you now can report that all of those transactions are in region A. Okay, web tabs. Now this, I don't really find it that great, but if you've got you want a quick, easy, like a menu item that has a link to the website that you send all your customers, or the explanation or sales page or something like that, then a web tab can be useful. But otherwise, I generally don't find them super valuable. Automation, you can create webhooks, custom functions, etc. So for example, when someone buys your software product, you create a webhook to provision the trial and a custom function to update the system, your CRM, to say that you have updated, that the client has paid and that they are now in the trial phase, for example. Workflow logs, so this is just the history, and your schedules. So if you want to run a check every day or run an export or something like that, then you can do that on a schedule. In your general settings, now this is per module, so you've got customers, and if you wanted to add customer numbers, that's going to create a unique identifier for each of your customers. A redirect URL after updating payment method, maybe you send them to a thank you page or somewhere with a video on it or something. Customer credit limit, you turn it on or off. Multi-currency transactions for each contact. Create sales transactions in multiple currencies for each of your customers. You can then run reports in the base currency and associated foreign currencies. So that is something that's relatively new in the Zoho Enterprise billing platform. Custom hierarchy, that's also a new thing in Zoho Enterprise billing. Now again, you've got all these things up the top, the same for each of these modules here. So product, fields, customization, record locking, custom buttons, related lists, etc. So enhanced item search, price lists. Now price lists or advanced coupons, that's a new thing. Enable enhanced item search, it's somewhat new. Duplicate item name, yeah, it's pretty standard. Okay, revenue recognition. Now this is in your Zoho billing. It is in your Zoho books. Now you do have to enable it, and there are a few features that you can request to be enabled. So task completion, notify. Maybe you might use that for your accounts, but again, tasks, again, is pretty inert. It's pretty basic. I wouldn't personally use the tasks in Zoho Billing Enterprise. Projects, custom fields, custom buttons, related lists, timesheets, and here's your settings. So don't round off, round up to, round down to, round to nearest. So round to nearest 5-minute increment, or if you say round up to the 6-minute increment, okay, that's quite common for like law firms, or you could say round up to multiples of 15 minutes. Track costs for time entries, enable approvals, enable customer approvals for time entries. All right. And then online payments. Again, this is your gateways. This is where you're connecting your Stripe, Klarna, PayNow, GrabPay, all of these sorts of things. And then we've got sales, again, quotes, do you accept quotes? Progress invoice. This is kind of new in Zoho books, and is also now available obviously in Zoho Billing Enterprise. And then you've got your retainer invoices. So again, a retainer invoice is a request for payment. It is not an invoice. It is a piece of paper that says, please give us a lump sum. And then what you do is you do the work, you invoice you then draw down those invoices against that retainer, and so you would send a whole bunch of $0 invoices that are paid until that retainer is used up, and then you would have your invoices over and above that. So we've got this one is again on invoices. We've got invoice QR codes, zero value line items, etc. Payments received, how that was received, etc. Credit notes, delivery notes, packing slips, subscriptions, general. So pause and resume, relatively new-ish feature. Prorated billing. Now this is getting a little bit more complicated in the way that it is being handled. And renewal pricing. Retain existing prices, use latest prices. That is a new feature that is in this Zoho Billing Enterprise. Free plans. I think they've always been around. In-term reactivation, consolidated billing and billing dates, metered billing and usage-based billing, unbilled charges, credit notes, excess payments and partial payments are all in the existing Zoho Billing, so nothing new there. Advanced billing. Now, this feature is one of the main flagship features that they claim to have in Zoho Billing Enterprise. You can see here it creates an advanced billing method. Now, this will work for you if you only send one subscription bill to a client. You notice before in another screen we had consolidated billing. Now, for us, we use a lot of line items or a lot of subscriptions because people have multiple services with us. So advanced billing really doesn't work for us because what happens is it will create an advanced bill. It'll look at, right, you've got a monthly retainer and on the first of every month it generates the subscription. With advanced billing, you can say if it's a weekly subscription or, you set the date. If it's weekly, maybe generate it 3 days before the billing date. If it's monthly, generate it 3, 5, 7 days before the billing date. If it's yearly, etc. Now, here is the problem. If you have multiple line items and you have something coming up a little bit sooner than others, or you make a change. So see where it says unbilled changes or metered billing. Advanced invoice will not be generated if a subscription has unbilled changes or metered billings. Now, we have a lot of clients with a lot of services. So when one changes, it now generates 2 or 3 invoices in the month instead of just bringing that bill together with all of the others. So for example, a client has another user. So we add a user mid-month and we then have 5 other services that are unchanged. So it will generate an advanced bill for all of the unchanged services and generate the normal bill for the one that was updated. So, for example, if you had everything happening on the 30th of the month and then you had 3 days prior, right? So you'd have the advanced invoice generated on the 27th of the month and then another invoice generated on the 30th of the month for the product that was modified. So that makes it annoying for the customer and it makes it confusing on the accounts team. So I really don't like this feature for that use case. Other than that, it is a way where you can grab revenue a couple days early. Dunnings management, it's the same. We set it up before. This is basically first try, second try, third try. Actually, I tell a lie. In the last component, it was reminders, right, which is just an email. Dunnings management is where it's auto charging the credit card. So it's automatically trying to bill the card. So on the 3 days, 3 days, 3 days till the third retry, and after 4, you can either have it automatically cancel or do nothing. Now, we do a lot of services work, and it's a lot more long term. So we tend to not cancel anything. We'll just pick up the phone at that point. Okay, so cancellation preference, you can request an option. You can void unpaid invoices, or you can request a fixed option or a free text entry. Automatic refunds. This is new. So let's have a look. Enable automatic, usage-based or refund policy. So the refund policy is 1 day, end of day, refund percentage. So if they, cancellation window, start day 1. So it looks like if they cancel 1 day after, then the end day, maybe 7 days. So if they cancel 7 days, the refund percentage is 100. And then you might say, if they cancel a monthly subscription, they might have 7 days, and the refund, or maybe we'll say that is 1 day, the refund percentage is 90%. And then if they cancel yearly, etc. So you can add cancellation windows. So if they give you 2 days notice, if they give you 4 days notice, then you're going to give them 50% because you're halfway through the week. And then 5 to 7, maybe you give them 10%. Anyway, that's how that looks. Purchases. Expenses, yep, so there's your fuel settings that you can put in there, your mileage rates, vehicle, so you might be able to add a vehicle, and then they can look it up. So they would look up, all right, well, I took the V8 Jalopy and it used a ton of fuel, or I took the Prius and it used almost nothing. All right, categories. So that's your categories of expense and your field customization, custom buttons, related lists, etc. Recurring expenses, customer portal. Yep, so creating customer portal where someone can log in, and you can create federated login where they can log themselves in, put a banner message, allow them to pay their bills, log in, add payment methods, prevent duplicate payments, download old invoices, etc. Credit notes. So there's quite a lot you can do, and you can put Sales IQ, which is the chat bot, inside of this billing portal, and then that'll allow them to manage the subscription. So if you have a lot of volume, that can really help. Subscription management. So trials. This looks to be a new feature. So we've got trials, cancellations, pause and resume, payments, and advance. So in this, looks like you can activate trial or extend a trial and just allow your teams to do various things without you. Custom tabs, again, this is kind of like web tabs. You can have additional database fields stored within here. Custom fields, let's see, custom modules. Custom modules, now I've built a custom module, or using a couple of custom modules, created a referral commission program whereby certain products would be commissionable, and then that would create a commission record, which would then be marked off to say by the accounts team to say, yes, all of this was paid, and then based on that, we would run a regular payout schedule of payments to those that referred. So we had to have a module for all of the referrers, we had to have a module for commissions, and a module for commissionable products, or rather it just looks up the actual products, and on those products I have then some custom fields which say maybe a checkbox which is hidden that says, is commission allowed on this product, yes or no. Alright, and then of course you've got integrations through the rest of Zoho, and then you've got the developer area as well. So that is Zoho Billing Enterprise at a glance, and I would say for the most part it's almost identical to Zoho Billing Standard, with probably about 2 or 3% new features. It is very small, but I am quietly confident that over a period of time they will introduce new features into the enterprise version to make it worthwhile. There is some additional reporting that you can get out of Zoho Billing Enterprise as opposed to Zoho Billing Standard, but at the moment there's not enough data in here to be able to properly show you, and I'm really just doing an unboxing, so we're not going to go too far down that rabbit hole. But things like advanced billing is new, and there are some other small nuanced details where if you do a lot of billing, you'll probably appreciate a couple of extra features. So that is pretty much all of the review. So if you have any questions, please let us know in the comments, give us a like and subscribe, and please watch out for the next video, which should appear just here.